what's up, everybody? Frank Red. Locked in the dungeon once again on the late night tip. I want to thank y'all for tuning in on one of my wins. I didn't really know if I was going to do a show or not, but as news started to happen and more things started to enter into the sports lexicon of the day, I just started doing research, man. And if you do research, for every hour of a show, I do like 2 hours of research. You know, I'm one of those people who, you know, believes that I'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared, all right? So hopefully you'll be the benefit of that tonight as we get into it. We're going to do probably about 45 minutes to an hour. We'll check the vibes to see how things are going. Maybe we'll do even more. I don't know. Listening for the first time, my name is Frank Red. What is up? How y'all feel out there? The name of the show is the In the Dungeon program. You can hit me up at Big Frank Red. A lot of people was checking in early on before the show started. I definitely want to give y'all all the props in the world for supporting the brother, because this is definitely not easy. I want to shout out all of the content creators out there in the world, because it's fun and games for about, I don't know, 5 minutes. Then you realize that this is actually work. It's fun, but it's work if you're serious about it. And I've never done anything that I'm not serious about. Everything that I do, I want to be the best that I can be. What does that mean? I don't necessarily know, but giving my best effort at everything that I do is something that was ingrained in me since I was a young kid. Certainly, as I started my own sports journey, I was fortunate enough to have tremendous coaching at every level. I mean, Hall of Fame caliber coaching. And I big my coaches up all the time. So, you know. And I'll have actually at least one of my coaches on. I'm gonna have my college coach on at some point. He's a legend. He's in the Hall of Fame, college basketball. But as I said, I won't have any guests on this particular show until I have at least 100 subscribers. I think we're like at 46 now, something like that. I'm not quite sure. If you like this show, hit the subscribe button. It definitely helps out. The algorithm does its thing. If it takes you some time to kind of check out things, then I get it. That's all good. You know, before I go out and buy a hip-hop album, I listen to a couple of joints. I do. But once I'm in, I'm all in. You know, I'd rather people be all in before you hit that subscribe button. Check the show out and maybe get a couple of chances and say, yeah, oh, I don't know. It's all good. One of the stories that I had not planned on talking about, but as I started to look deeper, I realized how cool a story it is. The San Francisco Giants are in second place in the West, 39-32. They swept the Dodgers this weekend, culminating in a kind of a weird ending, but they won today. 73, Logan Webb, I think it was 73, 75, not quite sure. Logan Webb got the victory. Good for them, man. Yeah, the Giants sweep. I mean, that's crazy because, you know, their manager has been kind of a slow taste. A lot of people like him. A lot of people don't like him. But you can't say that the team is not playing for him. They are playing for him. Yeah. So big that up. No question about that. So Giant fans out there, if you want to comment in the comment section like some of you are, feel free to do that. And I'll play along. Maybe you can educate me. You know, pique my interest even more, because I actually been looking at what's transpiring with the A's more than the Giants. And the Giants have kind of snuck up on me. I'm happily surprised that they have. There's a lot of Giant coverage out there. My man Larry Krueger, big Larry Krueger, 19,000 subscribers on the Krug Show. I would tell you to go check it out, but I'm sure most of you are already locked in with my man Larry Krueger. 19,000. And literally a little more than a year. That's big time. You know, but guess what? How did he do it? He worked his tail off. You know, nobody gave him anything. He's working his tail off, which is how I like to do things. So if you step in the dungeon, you become somebody who check this program out, it will happen partly because you go, yo, that brother Red be working. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Jimmy Robinson, Mark Graves, my man Romo, 2001. What's up, brother? I love this. And this show is only going to get better and better and better. To be quite frankly, to have guests on at this point is an insult to you, the listeners. I care about the listeners more than anything, more than the guests, more than the ratings, more than the subscribers. All that stuff is all good, but the listeners are the most important thing in this relationship, in this whole whatever we're doing. It's really about the listeners. Growing up in New York as a hip-hop fan, one of my idols, Rakim, had a song on his second album. It was called This Is For The Listeners. And that resonated with me even at that point. I'm young, I'm checking him out. It just kind of shows you why he did what he did. To get millions of dollars? I'm sure it was nice. To be a worldwide star, Hall of Famer in the eventual Hip Hop Hall of Fame, all of that. But the most important thing was, this is for the listeners. You know what I'm saying? So whatever then the Dungeon Show becomes, from this point on, it's because of the listeners. Because hopefully what's going to happen is I'm going to inspire other people to do their thing, whatever their thing is. You know, I was watching yesterday this video, and the video was on Kobe Bryant. And I had the pleasure of meeting Kobe Bryant. And it was, you know, one of my highlights, because there's no more honest person than the great Kobe Bryant, R.I.P. But Kobe was talking about what it takes to be great. And you know what he said? Kobe was like, it's math. It's simple math. He goes, most players maybe go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe they'll spend an hour or two kind of shooting around. But he said, if you go to the gym every day and you put in 2 to 3 hours every day, you'll get better. Simple, right? Simple. Some people can retain information very quickly. Other people can't, but they work their tails off and they do well in school because they put the work in. That's what I want this show to be about. I want this show to be about the work. All right? Hit me up at Big Frank Red on Twitter. I'm trying to get those numbers up there also, but I don't want to rush that either. I want that to happen organically and authentically, just like this particular program. But for the people who are checking me out right now, man, you need to know that this is a big deal. I was thinking about this show while I was cooking. And, you know, there's a lot of stuff on television now about gender roles. And you hear people saying, well, how women can't cook, and you need to know how to cook and all that good stuff. And it's starting to reshape my mentality a little bit, because if I say so myself, I'm a pretty good cook. I didn't learn it just because I was a mama's boy. My mom's a phenomenal cook. And and she taught me. And I've been a single person my entire life. So at some point, you start getting a little older. You start to understand nutrition. You can't eat everything under the sun. Less trips to McDonald's and fast food. And you start cooking. You start going back to the roots. A lot of times I'm cooking, and I even have my mom and my sister on speakerphone. They're helping me out, but I become pretty darn good. To the extent now that, generally speaking, I don't want to, disrespect them, but I am on par with all of the girlfriends who I've had in the past in terms of cooking, and I probably were a better cook than many of them. It hasn't been a lot, but the girlfriends that I've had a lot of them. And you know what? It worked out fabulously. They look forward to my Sunday night dinners. And they brought skills to the table that I didn't have. I had this one girlfriend who had like a toolbox. And I used to sit back and just go, wow. I mean, put my tile rack up, anything that I needed done, she could do it like nothing. And it was beautiful because, we didn't really have a situation where we had to fulfill roles. And I think as we evolve, I like where that's going. If you're a woman and you can cook, that's awesome. That is phenomenal. But if you can't, and your significant other can cook, then there's nothing wrong with that. All right, as I digress, what is the big story today? One of the top players in the NBA when he's healthy, Bradley Beal of the Washington Wizards. I believe he's been there for 11 years. He is all but traded to the Phoenix Suns for Chris Paul and Landry Shamet. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Chris Paul with the Washington Wizards because only $15 million of his $30 million contract is guaranteed. $15 million is a lot of money, and it'll be interesting to see if he ultimately plays for the Wizards. Hold on for 1 second. Sorry about that. If this was TV, I would have like 19 assistant producers running under my broad shoulders, putting my wires back in. But this is the team. I am the team. All right. So, good for Brad Beal. Good for the Phoenix Suns. And nobody wants to talk about it, but this was pretty much a high-priced salary dump. That's what it was. Phoenix didn't have any first-round picks. They threw in a couple of second-round picks. Landry Shamet is a pretty good role player. Chris Paul maybe has another year or two. That's it. So this was about the Washington Wizards tearing the house down and rebuilding it. Minger, the former general manager of the LA Clippers, is now running the show in Washington, and he doesn't have any allegiances to anybody. He wants to build it up, and so it worked for both teams. Phoenix wanted something, and Washington wanted something. Brad Beal probably had at least $100 million left, more than that, on his contract. So that's a lot of cheese that now Phoenix has to eat all of that. Why does the league allow one-sided trades? Because it's based on the salary cap. That's what it is. It's all about the math. Chris Paul makes $30 million. Landry Shamet makes, I believe, $13 million. That's $43. Bradley Beal, I believe, probably still make around $43 to $50 million. The next year is when the big money starts to kick in. So, the league is not perfect. I wish it was less perfect because I think that would help some of the Titans remain in their positions. Like the Golden State Warriors at this point are hurting because they can't make as many moves. They are above the apron. So I don't even think they're going to have their mid-level exception. If they did, I think that Dante DiVincenzo might continue to be a part of that organization. Now, I thought Dante would be great with Phoenix as well, but I don't think they're going to have their mid-level either. So, when you get all these owners in a room and they start talking, they're all talking tough like they all want to win. So then that puts a lot of pressure on the commissioner and the league to create rules that theoretically create a level playing field. But the reality is, cream rises to the top. Think about the new owner of the Phoenix Suns. His name is Matt Ishbia, former walk-on at Michigan State. He's worth $6.8 million in the mortgage game back in Michigan. He ain't playing. He's not playing. He came to Phoenix to win. That's what he wants to do. He looked at Joe Lacob, who a decade ago, with his partner, Peter Guber, and I'm sure a whole hoist of bankers, they put together a package for $450 million. And all of a sudden, the Golden State Warriors now are worth $6 to $7 billion. So that kind of tells you the earning potential. And oh, by the way, the desire to win. I'm not mad at Ishbia. He wants to win. Now, I looked at the stats before we came on air, and last year the Phoenix Suns, they scored 114 points a game last year, right? The problem was they gave up, I want to say 118. I think you can add another 4 points per game. So they'll average probably 118, and I think maybe they'll give up 115 and a half. So there's a 3-point differential. They should be one of the better teams next year. And I say that because their new coach, Vogel, is a hell of a defensive coach. And I think he's going to find a way to utilize the pieces even better than Monty Williams did. And I think partly because there was this tremendous disconnect with Ayton. And I think Vogel feels that he can get something out of him. So they're top heavy. It'll be interesting to see how they put that roster together. I call their bench ring-chasing marauders. They're going to comb the market and look for every veteran minimum guy that they can find. And you know what? Looking at that parade that the Denver Nuggets had, think about this. Jeff Green, DeAndre Jordan, Reggie Jackson, they're all champions now. There's nothing like being a champion. When ESPN or Fox or Apple or Google or whomever has rights. And now we're going to go to blah, 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 NBA champion. He never got off the bench. It doesn't matter. Still a champion. So I think you're going to have an interesting roster in Phoenix. With regards to Golden State Warriors, they're going to run it back with some minor changes, maybe some big changes. I also did some, I was kicking the tires around earlier today, looking at numbers and things of that nature. And I think the Warriors should look at the Orlando Magic. That team has come up quite a bit, and for good reason. They have some players that I think the Warriors could use, and I think that I think they desperately need a Jordan Poole. They need somebody in the backcourt who is a cut above everybody else. Now, I'm going to throw this out there to you all to see what you think. Jonathan Isaacs, Gary Harris Jr. for Jordan Poole. Jonathan Isaac's been hurt, but he's 6'10". He can score. This dude is a real scorer. Much better scorer than Andrew Wiggins. Bring him off the bench, acclimate him to the Warriors system, and I think that he would pay dividends. And I know Orlando doesn't really want to let him go, but they don't really need him. They don't need him. Gary Harris Jr., to me, he's better than Dante DiVincenzo. I like Dante DiVincenzo, because I like him as a person, everything I've seen, his personality. But in terms of talent, I think Gary Harris Jr. is a better player. Not a whole lot, but I think he's better. And here's the shocking thing to me about Gary Harris Jr. He's only 28 years old. 28. I guess he played 2 years at Michigan State, and you would assume that he was like 31, 32. Dude was 28. He makes $13 million a year, and he has a 2-year guarantee. So, as opposed to looking at Poole's 4-year, $120 million deal, they literally could wipe the books clean on Isaacs and Gary Harris if they didn't work out real well. And that's going to help them financially. So, interested to see what you guys think. If Draymond leaves, do you still trade Poole? I'm not actively out there trading him if Draymond leaves, but I mean, yeah, you know, it's interesting too. Everything in Phoenix doesn't necessarily mean that Draymond's going to be there. We assume he is, but like I said in various tweets and when I've been on air, if the Warriors lowball Draymond Green, he's not going to be happy. He's not. I mean, it could be like a civil war going on, because I tell you right now, Sacramento would be perfect for Draymond Green. Yeah, you bring in all that Draymond brings to the table, but yo, Sacramento got Draymond Green, Sabonis, Murray, Fox, Herter. Come on now. Well, you know what? Again, the Warriors, Cool Breeze says that Poole and Kuminga are going to be traded. You know what? I read a quote today. I don't know how accurate it is, but Moses Moody, I'm sure some of you guys probably saw it also. He said Moses Moody said that Kuminga came into the league at 6'7". Now he was 6'8", but he said he was 6'7". He said the dude is still growing, and he looks like he's damn near 7 feet now. Be careful, Warriors, because he literally could grow out of this quasi-small forward position into a 4 or 5. We don't know. I don't know what his, genetic bio line is. I have no idea. I just know that to find 6'9", 10 athletic freaks like that is hard to find. And be careful. I know the Warriors are in win now mode, but you got to be careful. I think everybody out there is really waiting and watching what Mike Dunleavy Jr. is going to do, because it really could shake the balance of that franchise. I mean, Phoenix, they remind me of the Cheesesteak Factory. Whenever I go to the Cheesesteak Factory, you walk by that cage where they have all of those treats there. My favorite is carrot cake, but they got so many things there to eat. You're like, wow. And then you kind of shake yourself for a minute. You go, you know what? I can't eat all that. Is that really the best meal I'm going to have? I mean, who's going to play? I mean, did you guys see Kevin Durant in the playoffs? I mean, I'm rooting for KD. I mean, I really am. But he didn't look like the KD to play for the Warriors. He didn't look like the KD that was playing for the Brooklyn Nets earlier this year. And maybe it was just fatigue, lack of chemistry, I don't know. But he didn't quite look the same. It doesn't mean that he's injured. It could just be attrition. I mean, he's 34, 35 years old. You never know. D-Book is solid. D-Book is really good. Brad Beal, when he was in his bag, Brad Beal is as good as anybody. Mark Grimes, I totally agree with you. He said KD looked average in the playoffs. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And DeAndre Ayton, to me, they would be better off trading Ayton and starting Jacques Landau. I want the Warriors to go after Jacques Landau. Dude's a free agent. Jacques Landau, the guy who played at St. Mary's, has shown everybody once again it's about the work. I don't care how many minutes he played, 15, 20, 25, you're going to get maximum effort. I think they need a guy like that. Imagine Jacques Landau backing up Looney. Imagine that. Right, Mark Graves said the Phoenix Stars were averaging 40-plus minutes a game in the playoffs. Yes. So, I mean, you know, we're kind of joking about them going out and finding some veterans to shore up their bench, but that's easier said than done because people want to get paid. If you got 4 guys making all the money, come on now. Who's going to work for free unless you're almost out of the league? No question, Cool Breeze. He says Booker, Durant, Ayton, and Beal. 120. They could average 120. I have them pegged to average 118. Now, you know, obviously every guy's not going to shoot well every game. All right, there's going to be less shots for those guys than they probably have ever had since the beginning of their careers. But they're all good basketball players. They really are. The best synergy that I've seen was when KD was on the Warriors. That was incredible because they were not only great players, they were a great passing team. Which is why I think if Phoenix could get rid of Ayton, and if they signed Draymond, and you had like Jacques Landau, well, is that too many? Landau, Draymond, KD. Let me see. Book, KD, Brad, Draymond, Landau. It's late. It's hard for me to do math. But Draymond would help them tremendously. If they had Draymond Green in their team, I mean, Denver would be good, but I don't think they'd beat that team. Without Draymond, I'm not convinced that just because they got a new coach, DeAndre Ayton is going to turn into a different player. I don't know about that. He's talented, but I think he needs a new home. That's how I feel about it. So, a lot to talk about. How do you guys feel about? Well, some of you guys have chimed in and said you think that the Bradley Beal trade is going to change the landscape of the West. On paper, yeah. But there's a lot to happen before that transpires. Mark Gray says that was the best basketball I've ever seen. Was the KD years with the Warriors. The ball movement was so beautiful. Yes, it was. It was. And there's some irony there because KD had to come up. He knew he had to step his game up, not only offensively but defensively also. And it was probably the only time in KD's career where he had one of his teammates actually getting on him. And that's the beauty of a Draymond Green. I don't know if KD or a Book, a Brad Beal have that level of skin, but that's what you're going to bring to the table with a Draymond Green because he's about winning. There's a reason why he has 4 championships. It's not by mistake. So it's going to be interesting. I think also another guy, Moritz Wagner, you know, the brother of Franz, the older brother. Quietly, last year, that dude put together a rock-solid season with the Orlando Magic. He had an opportunity to play. He's 6'10", he's 6'11". If I'm the Warriors, at the start of free agency, I'm on the phone to him as well. They will probably have to do something via sign and trade because they can't really sign any free agents outside of minimum salaries. And I think that he has proven that he's more than that. He's a guy who is going to get some money. So Maybe you don't add Gary Harris Jr. in the Jonathan Isaac trade. Maybe you give Wagner. Now, I'm sure they probably want him. You know, they probably don't want to give him up. They can sign him. You know, so it's going to be tough. The Warriors got to get another post player like that, like a Jacques Landale, a Moritz Wagner, somebody who just goes to work, man. Because when Looney went to the bench, when Draymond went to the bench, I mean, particularly Draymond, Looney's not the best post defender. He's good against big guys who can't really play. But big guys who can play sometimes give Looney problems because he doesn't have great lateral quickness. He has great intelligence. He works hard. He boxes out. He can rebound. He blocks shots. He's great. But the Warriors need another guy to complement him. And they need front court scoring, which is why I keep mentioning Jonathan Isaac. So it'll be interesting to see how you guys feel about that. I am Frank Red. This is the Dungeon Program. People are busy on the comment line. I really appreciate you. And you can hit me up on Twitter as well. And hit the subscribe button as well. If you like the program, just hit that button and we'll accelerate to that magic number of 100 subscribers. And then I'll start having more guests on. All right? Now, let's talk about the draft a little bit. Earlier this week, I put out a tweet, and I said that the Warriors are either going to draft Jalen Hood-Schifino, Jet Howard, Trace Jackson-Davis, Leonard Miller, Nick Smith, or Ben Shepherd. What did they... Cool Breeze said, what did the Wizards get for Bill? A bag of chips and a bitten off Snickers bar. They got Chris Paul's expiring contract, $15 million is guaranteed, and Landry Shamet, who makes about $13 million, is guaranteed. So it was a salary dump. It was a salary dump, and it was Washington's, kind of their kiss to Brad Beal, for being who he is, which is a class act. Great on the court when he was healthy and great in the community. And I think they wanted him they wanted to help position him to challenge for a ring. And that's what they did. It's a class organization. So big them up. But what they got was cap relief. They got cap relief and they got a lot of money off their books. Now, they still have Kuzma out there. And I don't want to butcher the big man's name, but they have him also. Both of those guys, Kuzma and their center, can both opt out and become unrestricted free agents. And they might want to sign those guys. They might want to re-sign them, at least one of them. And I think knowing that they won't have to pay Brad Beal years from now, that's going to help them make that decision. So they didn't get a lot. They didn't get a lot back. They got a couple of second-round picks. Phoenix didn't have any first-round picks, so, they got what they could get, and they accommodated one of their all-time great players. What do you think about the players who I put out there? Hood-Schifino, I think he's outstanding, yes. Right. Porzingis, thank you. Appreciate you. Porzingis quietly had a good year last year. Somebody got to play. Somebody got to show up when the opposing team comes to your building. So sometimes you wind up paying guys that you're not totally in love with, but you pay them anyway because they're part of your team. So you got Porzingis and you have Kuzma. And I think both of those guys are probably in the range of $30 million a year, which is combined Bradley Beal's salary. So, I got to think that, Chris Paul is out there with his agent, knocking on doors to see how much money he can get. Because I don't think Chris Paul wants to play for the minimum contract. This love affair about him staying in Los Angeles and going to the Lakers and playing for the minimum, he's still a good player. He's still a good player. If I'm the Chicago Bulls, if even if Lonzo doesn't come back, even if Lonzo does come back, if Lonzo Ball comes back, I don't know if I want to start. I'm not gonna start him right away. Sign Chris Paul for $10 million. To be your starter, and then maybe at some point, when Lonzo's better, then he takes over. Maybe you let Chris Paul walk to go to the Lakers at the end of the year. But Chris Paul has tremendous value still running the club. So, I think he's going to have opportunities out there. Hood Schifino, I think, is a player. I saw an interview with Jet Howard that I really liked. He talked about a quality human being and a good player, the type of players that the Warriors like. The Warriors, they're not going to bring anybody into the organization who is not top tier. Trace Jackson Davis, he's not going to be a flop. He's not going to be a flop. He's not. Because his essence, his foundation, the foundation of his game is defense and rebounding. He's 6'9", 6'10", with a tremendous, quick second jump. You can always find guys like that in the league that play 10 years. I don't care where he gets drafted. Jackson Davis is not going to be a flop. He's not. His top end is probably not all that high. Probably similar to his dad. His dad was a solid player. The thing about Jackson Davis that bothers me is he doesn't shoot 70% from the free throw line. As a big, you got to be in the 70s. You have to be. Otherwise, teams are going to be fouling you. You're going to go to the line. You're going to miss 2 free throws. That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable for me. You should be at least a 75% free throw shooter, unless you're Shaq or somebody like that. Otherwise, you can't play heavy minutes. They just foul you and take you off the court. So that aspect of Jackson Davis's game does concern me. Leonard Miller, I like a lot. I do like Leonard Miller, 6'10" kid out of G League Elite. And I think he can contribute next year too, but he just might be on a different timeline than the Warriors. And I hate that timeline stuff. Show up at camp and let the best players play, and then play him. But I like him. I think Leonard Miller has a real chance to be a very, very good player. Ben Shepherd, I'm going to do a deep dive on him tomorrow or Tuesday. Maybe I'll do another show tomorrow. I know he can shoot, but before I give a real definitive opinion on him, I need to do more research. Cool Breeze says if the Warriors don't trade that pick with Poole or Kuminga, I don't see they will have enough to compete for a chip. Yeah, I think they do if they get some bigs. You might look at a Jock Londell and say, I don't know about him. Or a Moritz Wagner. Those guys are underrated. Now, if Clay can't throw the ball in the ocean, then they're not a championship caliber team. But the coach in me always likes to see players at their best. Clay's been real quiet. You haven't seen many shots of him on his boat. Now, I'm not a real big social media guy, so maybe I'm wrong about that. But I haven't heard a lot of Klay Thompson noise, which means that I'll be presumptuous, but I think he's in the gym, man. I think he's in the gym. You said if Cool Breeze, if Dre stays, do I think they're challenged for a chip? I think they need front court help. I just do. I think that because if the Warriors play better defense against the Lakers, even shooting as poorly as they did, I think they win that series. Now, we've seen the Warriors not be the most talented team and still win. They won the most talented team against Boston. I don't think that they were. I think they had the most chemistry. They were veteran, and they got Steph Curry. And you would think at this stage every year Steph would be a little less effective, but what's amazing about him is he continues to defy the odds. He had a very good year last year. You're not going to have a guy like that playing 40-plus minutes in the playoffs and expect him to be a world beater. So I think the game got Steph last year. It wasn't the Lakers. I think the game defeated him. At this stage of his life, that little heart that he has, it's a human heart. And the pounding that he took was just too much. If they got anything from Jordan Poole last year, anything, they beat the Lakers. I don't know if they beat Denver, but they're in the Western Conference Championship. I think they can get there again, but they need to make some moves. I'm excited about Moses Moody. Is Moses Moody going to be like an all-star? No, he's not. But Moses Moody is one of those dudes, man. I think he's a guy who, you can rely on. So young. He's so poised. He's not great in any one area, but I think he's solid. I think Moses Moody, to me, could start 10 games next year. Because the balance in his game now, defensively and offensively, is closer now than it's ever been before. So I'm excited about him. If they trade Kuminga and they can get Derek Lively, you never know. And keep an eye on that, because these are the two Thompson twins. What is this gentleman's name? Amen and Ansar Thompson. I watched their highlight tape over the past couple of days. It's not good. It's not good, man. G League Elite plays more of a hybrid between G League basketball, NBA basketball, with some college principles. And I think that's why their players are viewed in a different light. I'm not saying the Thompson twins are not talented. I'm not saying they can't play. But their whole get down looked like an AAU game to me. You see guys grabbing balls off the backboard, dribbling up the court, driving through horrible defense, and then dunking. I didn't see it on tape. Now, if both of them are projected to be lottery picks, I'm like, would you take one of those guys over Kuminga? Think about that for a second. Sometimes this stuff is not brain surgery. It's not. Would you take either one of those guys over Jonathan Kuminga, who's played a couple of years in the NBA, going into his third year? No, you wouldn't do that. So there's a possibility that Kuminga could be in play with either the 6th or the 8th pick. And if that is the case, you're starting to hear reports now that the Warriors want to move up to draft Derek Lively, the 7'1" freshman center out of Duke. So how are they going to do that? By trading Kuminga for a lottery pick. That's how. Will it happen? I don't know. But there's a plan for the Warriors to get younger and get better at the same time. And I don't think, and if you can get Derek Lively by trading Kuminga, then the 19th pick might be in play with the Jordan Poole. And again, you're talking to Orlando or somebody like that who's going to come in and maybe give you an opportunity to get like a Jonathan Isaacs. He's the guy to me. To me, he's the guy. Now, he's had some injuries. He's pretty vocal about, his religion. I don't have a problem with it. Steph Curry's very religious, but it's very private. There's nothing wrong with it. But I just wonder how the perception of Jonathan Isaacs would be. I have no idea. But I'm excited. This is one of the best times of the sports calendar because the NBA draft is really big. And now with the advent of veteran players getting traded for pennies on the dollar, that's also exciting. All right. Hit me up at Big Frank Webb. We have some people hitting me up on Twitter. Let me see what's up with this. I don't know who this is. All right, so do that. I also wanted to talk about, there's a hip hop story out there. There's a guy, I'm sure hip hop heads know who he is. Is Rollins and Baldwin just going to take roster spots up, or are they cool breeze? You'll find out in the Summer League. You'll find out in the Summer League. If Rollins and Baldwin don't show promise in the Summer League, look out, because moves could be made. I mean, Rollins is like 800,000, you know. PPJ is what, $1.2 million, $1.3 million, $1.5 million. Not a whole lot of money. I mean, you know, the Warriors have cut people before who they had to pay money, and plus they'll just keep those guys in the G League. You know, although they do count on, you know, the roster, but I don't think either one of those guys have fortified their existence with the Golden State Warriors. I just don't believe that. I think that they have to prove that they have a future. In the NBA, the future's always now. All right? I want to go back. A guy by the name of Dante Ross, hip-hop legend, has done 19 things in hip-hop, impresario. He's been a manager, one of the top A&R guys in hip-hop history when you consider all the legendary groups that he signed. He signed Leaders of the New School, Dale the Homo Sapien, Brand Nubian, one of my favorite hip-hop groups of all time. And he signed Pete Rock and CL Smooth. How about that for your resume? And he did it as a young person, very, very young person at that particular time. He also was behind Everlast's, I call it a reclamation, from being Everlast to Whitey Ford. Remember that classic 90s album he had? He had a nice little run where he kind of had like a folk rap thing going on that kind of, you know, hit the world by storm. Dante Ross was behind that as well. So he's done some incredible things in music, and been at the right time for a lot of major events. Has some really interesting relationships. Well, he has a brand new book out, and his book is called Son of the City. And I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna read it. And if you are a fan of hip hop, like some of the stories that really matter, not just the kind of the stuff where who sold the most records or who was going with who. I mean, you know, I don't know what's in the book, but I know there's a lot of interesting stories in there because his life has been interesting. And he's going to be appearing, I believe, at Amoeba Records July 8th with Dale the Homo Sapien. And so you might want to check that out. I looked at something on Twitter that said he was up in Seattle the past couple of days, and that went really well. So the book is getting good reviews. I'm a fan of hip hop. I'm not only an artist, but I'm a fan, and I'm old enough to have experienced some of that stuff, so I can relate to a lot of it. But if you are a hip hop fan and just want to learn more about it, look it up. Dante Ross, Son of a City. And I think he's going around the country doing not only probably book reads and signings, But they're doing some cool stuff where like some of his friends, like top-notch producers and DJs, will do some 45 sets, so they'll play some stuff. Amoeba Records in Berkeley is a great location, excuse me. So if you are in the Bay, if you're in Sac, you're up north, wherever you are, might be a nice day trip to go down and check that out. Look online, I'm sure you can find more information about it. Cool breeze, good night, my brother. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Andrews, Ventura, thank you, brother, if you're still listening. Whomever's listening, man, this is all good. I thank y'all for stepping in the dungeon. And like I said before, for me, to do these late night shows right now, until I get up to 100 subscribers, this is just reps. This is what you should be able to do. So if you have any aspirations about creating content online, doing talk radio, you know, you have to do this. I remember when I started in radio literally 20 years ago. And you know what the scariest thing in the world was? To look over at your call line and see nothing. Nothing. Oh yeah. Everybody in the studio doing a radio show can't say, let's go out to Bob on line 7. It's not like that for everybody. At least it wasn't for me at the start. Look at the call box and there's nobody there. And you are like, oh my God, what am I going to do right now? And then you get better. Then you start to realize that, you know what? There's so much stuff to talk about that's interesting to people. You know? Lil Wayne. I learned a valuable lesson from Lil Wayne one time. And I never met Lil Wayne, but I saw an interview. And this is what he said. He talked about songwriting and writer's block. And I got a studio session tomorrow. So I'm hyped about that. I love going to the studio. I love making music. I do. It's one of the most favorite things for me to do is make music. But Lil Wayne said, you know what he said? He said, I don't have a writer's block. Nobody said writer's block because the songs are in the air. You just need to look up and grab them. How profound is that? I mean, think about that. He said, the songs are in the air. You just got to go up there and grab them. And as simple as that is, it was kind of reassuring for me. It was kind of calming because, you know, every time you write a lyric or you come up with a song and it's good, you think that that's the best song you're ever going to write again. And then you write another one, you write another lyric, you write another one, and then you realize that it's a process. And kind of like what Kobe Bryant said about practicing and getting better. And this is also attached to Eminem. So Eminem writes all the time. All the time. And he writes all the time because he wants to stay in the moment. So I've taken that advice or that technique that even Eminem has, and I write all the time. I don't care if I'm driving in my car, I'll pull over and write the lyric down, you know, because I might forget it. Or either use some other tool to make sure that I record it. But this is a process. It really is a process. And I want to thank everybody out there for checking me out. We're getting close to 55 minutes now. We'll go for 5 more minutes, and then we'll break down. But this has been a lot of fun. Hit me up at Big Frank Red on Twitter. Hit the subscribe button, and you'll be locked in the dungeon with everybody else who's checking out the show. And I really appreciate it. Once again, the big story of the day is Bradley Beal is now all but a member of the Phoenix Suns. Chris Paul and Andrew Fields are off to the Washington Wizards in a paper form. I mean, Landry Shamet, excuse me. I don't know, I didn't say Landry Fields. No, that's the general manager of the Atlanta Hawks now. Landry Shamet is a player out of Wichita State who's on the Washington Wizards now. Jimmy Robinson says, "What do I think happens to Dame?" Yo, I think it's in New Orleans court. Charlotte could throw a major monkey wrench into everything because literally from the end of the college season, they had their sights set on drafting Brandon. Brandon Miller, excuse me. Sorry about that. Yeah, Brandon Miller. And now all of a sudden they're going to bring Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller back into Charlotte tomorrow and Tuesday to have some more interviews with them, and then they're going to make a decision. I don't think Portland or New Orleans is as excited about Brandon Miller as they are Scoot Henderson. So I think it might come down to where Portland is drafting. If Portland has the number 3 pick and Zion Williamson is on the board, I think they take that chance. It's a big chance. And people have, at least in the sports media, people have taken a high road with regards to Zion Williamson. I'm going to take the high road also. There's so many different websites out there that like to, delve in the mud and get personal with people. I don't want to travel that lane. I really don't, man. That's just not something that I want to do. Well, you can do your own research. There's a lot more going on with Zion Williamson beyond him just getting on the court. And he's trying to work a lot of that stuff out. So hopefully that young man has the support, gets the support that he needs, and things will work out for him over his career. But I think that trading the 3rd pick for Zion Williams, obviously Portland will have to ship off some other pieces. I love that. I love it. I mean, to think that you could have a superstar talent, Zion Williamson, with a Hall of Famer, Dame Lillard. Yo, man, Shaedon Sharpe's gonna be a star. That dude is legit. Can you imagine Shaedon Sharpe, Zion Williamson, and Dame Lillard in the same starting 5? And maybe you keep Simons too? Stop playing. So, I think if they can pull that off, I think there's a good chance that Dame stays. If they can't, and I'm not saying that I'm best friends with Damian Lillard, because I'm not, but I've been around him a lot. I know he's competitive as hell. Then the Miami discussions probably start popping up again. Because, he's looking at Brad Beal. He said to himself, wait a minute. All you want as a veteran player is an opportunity to challenge for a championship. Whether or not you win, nobody knows that. Only one team is going to win. But you want to be in the party. And if Dame Lillard is playing for Miami, they're going to be right there. Because that culture is thick. They're going to be right there. So I think if they can somehow acquire Zion Williamson from New Orleans, then I think, the gray skies in Portland all of a sudden become bright and sunny. And I think Dame Lillard is true to his word in saying that he wants to try to get it done there. So we'll keep our eyes on that. There's a lot going on in the sports world. Once again, I want to big up the San Francisco Giants, who are now in 2nd place, 39-32. Nobody saw it coming. Come on now. They're 3.5 games out of first after sweeping the LA Dodgers this weekend. Logan Webb got the win 6-6 with a real respectable earned run average of 311. All right? Oakland A's fans, I think it's a done deal. Personally, I don't want to talk about it because it really upsets me. Because beyond the Oakland A's, when I was a kid in New York, there was a couple of things that I knew, even as a youngster. The Oakland Raiders, the Oakland A's. I mean, outside of New York. I knew the Dodgers also. But the Oakland A's are historic. A historic franchise. And they are synonymous with that community and with that fan base. And to think that Major League Baseball would take that from them and not have no accountability, zero, is very disappointing to me. I think it's pretty much a done deal in Vegas. As an adult, I've been pretty apathetic about sports outside of supporting players. You know, I'm a Knicks fan. I am a Knicks fan, and you know, I've been detached from them for a long period of time. It doesn't take long for me to get re-engaged like I was this year with this team. I really like what they're doing. But thinking about the Oakland A's leaving Oakland, it really bothers me because it's wrong. It is absolutely wrong. And I don't care if Major League Baseball had to make Fisher sell the team. So what? So what? David Stern, and David Stern was not like he wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but he did a lot of good stuff. And keeping the Sacramento Kings in Sacramento at all costs was one of the things that will be synonymous with his legacy forever. Forever. I will never forget that. I'll never forget what Carmichael Dave did also. There's so many other people up in Sacramento. But Carmichael Dave, I'm sure he's told the story before, but this dude literally drove around the country talking about Sacramento, the Sacramento community, and why they should have a team. Carmichael Dave's one of my guys. And I'm waiting for the book, dude. I'm talking about Dante Ross, a hip-hop legend, one of the great A&R folks that we've seen in the past 35 years. And in some respects, the Carmichael Dave story is actually more compelling, or just as compelling. Unbelievable. Think about that. No, he's not a billionaire. Ultimately, it came down to money. But to think about having a love affair with a team, an organization, so much, and you travel around the country in a van, the different states, speaking to people about why you should have your team. I will never forget that. Never. I think there's a movie there somewhere. There's a documentary. There's a book. It's probably all in play. All right. Anyway, do you guys realize how much I love this? Do you know? This is an hour and 4 going on 5 minutes. No commercials. Nobody to talk to. It's just me and the listeners. That's why I love this, because I know everybody can't do this. If you look within yourself and you just let it rip, you can do it. But I can do it because I'm really, really excited about the one person watching the show right now. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to break down. I'm going to get out of here. And probably do at least another show or two before we get to the NBA draft. But I want to thank everybody for contributing to the program tonight. It is an honor and a pleasure to be on air with you. My man Mark Gray said, Frank, you got talent, my brother. You think so, Mark? You think so? You do? I appreciate you. I I can't wait to meet you in person because you've been with me from the inception. All these shows that I've done, you've been right there, and I appreciate it, brother. And it's the journey, man. It's the journey, man. Rarely in life do we find something that we're really good at. And it actually took a long time for me to even realize that people get paid for this. The first year I did radio, I didn't get paid. I hosted a show every week. I didn't make a dime. Not easy talking all by yourself and be entertaining. I guess it isn't, you know. Sometimes I watch other people or I watch different genres of communication and I'll go, wow, that's not great. But I don't really think about it. I really don't think about it. I think what you got to lock into is what's in your mind, man. Are you passionate about it? You know, maybe you're passionate about making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You know, whatever you're passionate about, that's what you should be doing. I remember one time, you ever been with a girl, like a girl might say, hey, I like you, or I want to spend time with you. And you look at yourself and you go, is she blind or something? Because it's happened to me only a few times in my life. But this one time, I spent some time with literally the most beautiful girl that I've ever been with. And she had just graduated from like Cal or UCLA, something like that. She was a model. And she was like, I want to spend some time with you. I was like, what? And I always understand myself around girls. Really? Okay. Good for you, Mark. I love it. But make a long story short, she had all this stuff going for her. And I was doing okay, but the scale was certainly not balanced. And we got into a conversation. We're talking about relationships and how we like each other, who you like and what you like, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, I started talking about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, about making great peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. She started laughing, and then she moved on to New York and became a top model, and that was it. But I guess the point that I'm making is that this is an industry, this is a medium that you have to hone into the uniqueness of you. And you got to be the life that you're living. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to come on here and be somebody else, because this is who I am. I go back to my childhood, my mom, and my coaches, and the friends that I have. I have a lot of famous friends that when they're around me, they're not famous. When I'm around them, I'm not famous. We're just being ourselves. And I think that is the essence of what I'm doing right now. I'm just being myself. And, you know, hopefully that's good enough for the listeners, because if you ever expect to be somebody else, it's not going to be a different person. It's going to be who you hear on air. And I just feel so fortunate to have this opportunity to express myself in this medium, because it's really great. It brings purpose to everything that I do. It's not my life, but it's a part of it. All right? Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you, brother. I'm going to do my thing and get out of here. We have a couple more people, but we're going to break down now. I'm going to do my thing and get out of here. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. I look forward to doing some other shows leading up to Thursday on draft night. Peace.